Signing your first client is the hardest part when starting an agency, but once you've done it once, you know how the process actually works. You have the proof, and the second one comes even faster. My agency makes me a little bit over $31,000 every single month, and I've helped students like Anthony close $19,000 in his first 2 weeks, and Tamim, who closed $9.5 thousand in his first 30 days with no prior experience. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact 5 steps from going from nothing to your first paying client. The same process that my students use and the same process that I would follow if I was starting from zero tomorrow. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what to do at every single stage. All right, so step 1, finding leads or business owners to actually reach out to. So there's a few different lead scrapers that I like to recommend. The first one being Outscraper. You have Appify, GenSpark, Instant Data Scraper, Data Scraper. These two here are actually Chrome extensions. I'm going to go over how to use these here in a second. And then you have BBB, which is the Better Business Bureau, where you're going to find a lot of contractors on there, and you have Realtor.com, and you can use Appify to scrape these websites for you. Outscraper costs money. Appify has a few free scrapes when you first start. GenSpark has a few free as well. It's an AI platform, but the ones that I like to use when I'm first starting out, because it's completely free, is just Google Map scrapers. You have Instant Data Scraper or Data Scraper. So they're both Google Chrome extensions. All right, so you can get either one. The one I'm going to use is Data Miner. The first thing you have to do is go to Google Maps and actually search up your industry, the niche that you're going to target. For this example, I'm going to go after roofers, just because it's very simple. Roofers in Texas. Now, I want to explain though, is obviously you can't just do broad roofers in Texas because there's a ton of different ones in Texas. But what you can do is just kind of broad search that and then find a specific area that you want to target. Right. So I'm going to go after this very small town over here and just kind of look at the name, and then I'll say roofers in Texas, and it's going to pop up all the roofers in this specific area. Now I want to use the data miner. I'm going to click on the Chrome extension. It's going to pop up and it's going to give me the option to actually scrape this page. So I'm going to do is click scrape this page. It's going to pop up this little window, and you click on page scrape and then find one that will actually give you the stuff that you're looking for. So this one we can see is just emails. Right. Obviously we don't want that. If we're going to go for something like this, we can click on it and just see what it gives us. Okay. So this one's going to give us their business name and their phone number. Honestly, that's all we really need. I don't really need these guys' emails because I'm not reaching out to them through emails. I just really want to cold call them, or you can do this for cold SMS as well. So I'm going to click scrape this page, and we want to make sure that we're downloading it as a CSV file. Click CSV file and allow, save it. And then what we can do is we can go into ChatGPT. We can put that download CSV file into ChatGPT and then just tell ChatGPT what we want. Right. So I don't really need their address. I really just need their business name and their phone numbers. That's all I'm going to tell ChatGPT to do. So I'm going to just say, clean this list and just give me the business name and phone number. Any other columns, get rid of. ChatGPT is going to do its thing, and this is going to spit out that list and give it back to us. You can see it'll just contain only the business number, phone number, and then it's perfect for importing to Go level. So we just want to download that list, and then I just want to quickly review that list, and you can see that it only is giving us the business name and the phone number, which is absolutely perfect. So now we want to import that list into high level quickly. So we're going to come into contacts, click on import, click contacts here, next, and then upload that CSV file into there. Click next, and then we're going to map the fields. So we can see that Go level automatically map the correct fields. So we can see business name and then phone number, and then next, and then confirm, start bulk import. Go to contacts now. And then we can see that these leads have actually been imported into here. And then we can add them to automations, workflows, pipelines, and start actually doing outreach within that industry. Okay. So now if you do all of those steps correctly, you can just do those over and over and over again because it's very fast. You do all the surrounding towns in that specific area, in that industry. You should have a large list, maybe around like 500 people to actually reach out to, going after getting your first client. And I wanted to quickly mention, I like to target business owners that are actively trying to grow and not the ones that have to convince that marketing actually works. The reason being is because if someone's aware that they have a problem and they realize that marketing is a solution to fix that problem, it's a lot easier to sell them. If I have to jump through hoops and convince somebody that marketing is the solution to actually growing their business, then they're probably not the most ideal prospect or client that I would want to actually help, which leads me on to my next point, which is good leads versus bad leads. The most important thing when going after an industry and collecting a lead list is to make sure that we're targeting business owners that it actually makes sense for them to pay us some sort of high fee, maybe $1 or $2K a month. Roofing is perfect because those jobs, you can go anywhere between $8,000 to $15,000. So all I have to do is just get them one job, even every 2 months, just to make it make sense for them to work with me. Same thing with fencing or hardscaping. I don't like to go after a landscaper that does $50 grass cuts because I have to get him so much work just for him to be break even. I also like to make sure that these people are actively spending money on marketing, even if it's not working. A lot of prospects that I talk to, maybe they're boosting Facebook posts, maybe they're paying their nephew to actually run their social media page, maybe they're paying some random person overseas to manage their Google My Business. Although that might not be the best way to grow their business, it shows that they're trying. A lot of these people have no time to actually go in and learn the skill of marketing, and they'd rather outsource it to somebody who actually knows what they're doing, or just give it a shot in some sense, because these people, they know marketing works, they know that they need to grow their business in some sort of systems and marketing, whatever it is. But again, they don't know how to actually do it. So that's perfect. So even if they're spending money on marketing and it's not going well for them, it shows that they're actually willing to invest in the growth of their business and in the growth of themselves. You see this a lot with more younger types of business owners. A lot of the 40, 50, 60-year-old business owners, it's a lot harder to get them to understand that they need to actually invest into marketing. I've talked to business owners in their 60s and they're kind of telling me that, oh, I built my business off of no marketing, when that's like not a flex at all. Because if they've done marketing, they could have made way more money over a longer period of time and grown their business to a massive, massive extent. So I like to target those younger guys who know we're in that digital age and they know that marketing is important to grow their business. And I also like to target people who, when I call their phone or I send them a text message, it's the actual business owner. I don't like targeting people who are like dentists or things like that, because a lot of the times when you call them or do outreach to them, you're going to reach a gatekeeper. And a gatekeeper doesn't really help us, right? The receptionist. I want to be able to call these people and the owner picks up, because that's the actual person who makes decisions to grow their business. If I'm just speaking to a person and they're trying to collect my info and leave a message, I'm probably never going to hear back from that business, because they're just going to completely disregard me. I need to actually be able to talk to the business owner and talk to the person who's making the decisions to grow the business. All right, so now that we have our lead list, step 2 is to actually reach out to these business owners and try to get a client. Now, the fastest way to get your first client is cold calling. And I know a lot of people, when I say that, they're going to be like, oh, I got to do that. And that's exactly why you need to do it. And the majority of people, including myself when I was first starting out, did not want to cold call. I wanted to do absolutely anything but cold calling. I was spending time building a website. I was doing this, whatever it is. None of that stuff was actually driving me forward in my business and actually getting me closer to the result that I actually wanted. All right, that's probably one of my biggest regrets when I was first starting out, is not doing that stuff, because that stuff is what's going to get us to the point that we want to get to. And obviously there's a mindset piece involved in that. We have a primal fear in our brain of rejection. And that's where a lot of cold calling stems from, right? A lot of cold calling is rejection, and that's just something that you have to deal with. And as humans, there's a part of our brain that doesn't like that. But the reality of it is a bad call literally doesn't change your life at all, but a good one can change it drastically. Every no is closer to a yes. So when I actually cold call, all I have is 4 tabs open: my script, my dialer, my leads, and my booking link. That is absolutely it. I don't need anything else open. I don't need YouTube open. I don't need Instagram on the side. I'm not playing some sort of video game. I'm focused on the task that I'm doing right in front of me. So I just want to quickly go over what cold calling can actually look like at a high level, because we don't want to focus on the outcome. We want to focus on just the inputs and the specific metrics within each part of it. For this example, we're going to say we did 200 cold calls. Now let's say we actually booked in 10 people. All right, that's a 5% booking rate. So we actually got 10 people to book in a call with us. Now let's say we get 50% of those people to show. 5 people out of those 10 meetings to actually show up on a call with us. Now let's say we close just 1 person. That's a 20% close rate. Now let's just say for this example that we are selling a $4,000 package. That means that out of those 200 cold calls, every single call was actually worth about $20. That's how you actually have to look at cold calling. Obviously, this was a bit of an extreme example, but at the end of the day, it proves my point that every single call that you make is actually making you money. Okay, so every single no, even though it's a no, in the end, once you actually close a client, all of those calls had some sort of price that was underneath it, was actually making you money as you were doing it. So stop looking at cold calling as if it's some painful thing and look at it as if it was making you money that entire time. So when you reverse engineer all the math behind it, it becomes a system and it's not scary anymore, because you kind of just see everything in a broad view of what it actually looks like, and you're no longer relying on the emotions that you have behind it. Okay, so now you might be thinking, well, what do we actually say on the cold call? The reason I'm not going to give you a script is because scripts, all they're trying to do is mimic a real human conversation. And obviously you can't really do that. I like to tell people to make scripts cater to them. Okay, so take the time to actually know why you're saying the things that you're saying and have some sort of framework behind it, and then make your script according to you. So don't copy some sort of script that you found off a YouTube video, because guess what? Other people see that same thing. They're going to use it. And then guess what? It's not going to work. Okay, so follow a framework, because at the end of the day, once you know why it's working, that's how you're going to see the results you're looking for. Here's the basic cold calling script framework. All right, and this is very proven among me, among people that I know, other engineers that I know, and it just works. Okay, so the first thing is we have a pattern interrupt. As an example, you have name. I have some good news and I have some bad news for you. You might have seen this one on Instagram. But at the end of the day, the whole point is we're trying to make things sound different to what people are actually hearing every single day. Okay, so a lot of these business owners, you're not the first cold call that they've gotten, and chances are you're not going to be the last either. So we want to make sure that we're sounding different and more more unique to us. Okay. And that's again why I'm telling you, don't just find some random script and copy that exact same script, because again, it's not going to work. You need to sound different and make sure that you are separating yourself from everybody else that's in your specific industry. Okay. Doing the same thing that you're doing. The reason we do that is because if we sound like everybody else, our prospects are going to categorize us with everybody else, and then they're going to subconsciously not even listen to us when we're calling them. Okay. So pattern interrupt, then permission to pitch. As an example, is this the absolute worst time to talk? Maybe can I get 30 seconds to explain why I'm calling? I know you get these calls all the time, but can I explain 30 seconds while I'm calling? Whatever it is, you want to actually get permission to make sure that they feel like they're in control, and then they actually are more willing to hear you out if they give you actually permission. All right. So pitch part one. So explain what you do and sound different, sound relatable, get specific, and paint a picture for them of what you actually kind of do at a broad level. And one thing that I like to do is I like to have some sort of dream outcome for them. So all of these prospects have some sort of situation that they want to be in. Okay. So I'm going to paint a picture around that situation, and then I'm going to explain away the concerns behind that. So I'll say something like, we're going to generate you 10 extra high-end luxury outdoor kitchens without doing this, without spending money on shared leads, without spending money on Facebook ads, without paying some sort of high-end agency retainer. You get the point, right? We're explaining away the pain points behind what the dream outcome is. Okay. Because when you say the dream outcome, they're going to think in their mind instantly, oh, but there's probably this and this and this. So that's why we instantly get rid of those things as soon as we say the dream outcome. Then we get a temp check, and I explain a little bit more how I do that stuff in 20 more seconds. They say yes, and then that's the pitch part two, how you actually do it. Okay. So make it sound a little bit more sophisticated than it actually is, but also simple. And again, just kind of straightforward. We don't want to overcomplicate it and confuse the prospect. We want to make sure that we make it sound like we actually know what we're talking about, and that we can actually get that dream outcome that we were explaining in the first part. And then we want to make sure that we're staying outcome focused. We never want to talk about the actual, nitty gritty. All right. We want to make sure that we're talking about the end destination, right? These travel companies, they never tell you about the plane ride where you're sitting next to two sweaty fat people. They always tell you about the nice blue water on the beach that you're going to be staying at. Okay. They never tell you how you're going to get there. They just sell you on that dream outcome. All right. Then temp check number two, does this actually make sense? Just get a confirmation, explain away any questions that they may have, and then close. Ask them for a Zoom call, Google Meet, give them an actual reason to actually join, and then relate it to the conversation that you've had with them so far, if possible. So if we do a little bit of a discovery, kind of ask some more questions after we go through this cold calling framework, figure out where they're actually struggling within their business, where they're trying to go. We're going to relate our meeting to that pain point and tell them we're going to help them solve that pain point on this call no matter what. So now that we have the framework on what to follow to actually cold call, maybe we've done a few hundred, we kind of understand how it works. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure as we're cold calling, we're also sending out cold SMS so we can maximize the amount of output that we're getting. We can automate this with high level, get people to actually respond positively to our offer, and then call up those people who respond positively. One thing that I forgot to mention with cold calling is the goal of a cold call isn't to sell somebody on your 1K a month retainer. All it is to understand the situation that your prospect is in and get them to book a meeting. All right. That's it. That's the only goal of the cold call. Okay. And that applies the same thing with cold SMS. The goal of cold SMS isn't to get some sort of client. It's to get a positive reply. So that way we can call them up and do the same thing with cold calling. Book them to a meeting, get them to show. And then once they're showed, then we can close them into a client. But at the beginning, I still recommend cold calls to every single beginner because it's painful. You probably don't want to do it. And that's exactly why you need to do it. It'll build your pain tolerance. You'll understand your prospects more, and you're actively talking to the people that you want to work with. Just to let you know, everything I'm walking through in this video, the outreach scripts, the follow-up automations, the sales frameworks, I give away for completely free inside of Simple Scale. All you have to do is sign up for a free trial on the only software that you need to run your agency, the same one that I used to run my agency, and you can get access to all of it. I only make money when you succeed. The link's in the description, but let's keep going. All right, so step 3 is follow up. Most meetings booked might not happen on the first touch point. You might have to handle some objections. You might have to follow up. Most business owners, guess what? They're busy. They're not ignoring you. They may have just forgot that you reached out to them. And that's just something that happens a lot. These business owners get calls all the time. They're going to estimates. They have appointments. They're talking to people all day, every single day. And then they have to go home at the end of the day and then spend time with their family. A lot of the time these guys just forget, and that's just a part of the process. Okay. So we have to follow up and get them to actually do the thing that we want them to do. The people who follow up the most with their prospects are the ones that sign clients the most. The reason being is because most people just quit after one call. They have one call with their prospect. Maybe they watched the YouTube video and the person in the YouTube video said, oh, you need a one call close. You're not going to close the prospect. That is not true at all. Absolutely not true at all. Most deals happen on the follow-up. In my own agency, we close a lot of clients from following up with them. So here's a quick example with cold SMS of a very simple but very effective follow-up process. Okay, so the goal of cold SMS is obviously just to get a positive reply. All right, so we send out an initial message. Maybe maybe people see it and they actually do get interested, but then they have to talk to their employee. Okay. And then they forget that this text message happened. Maybe they opened it and then again, it just completely left their mind. What we're going to do is we have this initial message, then we have wait, the wait workflow, wait 137 minutes. We don't want to have exactly 1 hour or 2 hours because then they kind of know, okay, it's just an automated response, whatever it is. But then we have some sort of thing where it says without referrals or share leads, right? Obviously, this is not the entire thing. I'm going to explain here in a second, but these are their pain points. Okay. So this website called imageflip.com, and it's basically just a meme generator. Now that little image that was attached to that actual sending flow, which I'll show here in a second again, is just this, right? It's just a meme. So this one is obviously you deciding if getting more jobs is worth replying to, right? It's just a very simple, but funny and effective way to get people to respond. If they see this, they might associate you with laughter, and they're actually going to be more apt to respond to your initial message. Okay, so I wanted to go back in here to show you again the screenshots in here, just add attachments, upload that picture into here. One thing that I wanted to mention is we obviously don't want this message to go out to everybody. So if you click on settings here in the workflow and click stop on response and just check that on. So if somebody replies to the first message, they're not going to get that follow-up. If someone doesn't reply to that, they will get the follow-up. Okay, very simple, very effective. And one thing on top of that, this is specifically more with cold SMSs, if you get a positive reply, be sure to call them right away. We don't want to call them 2 days later because then they're going to have completely no idea why we're calling, and then we're gonna have to re-explain the offer again and stuff like that. Okay, so we get a positive reply, we're gonna instantly call them, and every time we do it, we're gonna make sure that we double dial, okay? Because a lot of the times people get a phone call, they might not pick it up the first time, and I know with myself as well, if I get a phone call and I don't know who it is, I'm not gonna pick it up the first time. But if I see that they double dial, I know that they're serious and they have intent, and I'm like, oh, okay, sparks a little bit more curiosity. Not as many people do it, so I'm gonna pick up the phone. Okay. We also want to completely knock out any bad beliefs we have around follow-up. Following up is not annoying. You're not being annoying. You're being professional. And if you actually believe in the service that you're providing, if you genuinely feel like you're helping this person out of a painful situation, it is your duty to actually get this person to work with you. And sometimes when a business owner says, call me back next week, or if you're on a sales call and they're saying, hey, listen, like I just need a few more days to finish this job to get money from it. Sometimes they're being truthful. Okay. You do actually need to call them back next week, or you do need to give them some time to close that job to make them more comfortable. Obviously, the majority of prospects who say that don't actually want you to do that, but sometimes they do, right? There are odd ones out there, and those ones make the best clients. If they're serious, they already know what you're offering, all that kind of stuff, and they actually have intent, and you call them back whenever they said that they should call you back, then they're a lot more interested and they might be a lot better of a client. Now, step 4, which is booking the meeting. Again, the goal of every cold call or cold SMS, set call or follow-up is to get people onto a Google Meet or a Zoom call. You're not selling your service over the phone. You're not going to get somebody to pay you $2,000 on 10 minutes of talking to you on a cold call. All you're doing is you're selling 15 to 30 minutes of their time. Make it sound like they have absolutely nothing to lose. If they hop on that call, you're actually going to help them solve the problem that they're dealing with. You're going to share your screen. You might provide some value. You might show them how they can actually solve the problem without even working with you. Maybe you show some real results. And you just break down the entire process to, again, solve the problem that they're struggling with. But since now we booked meetings, we actually want to get these people to show up because that's the next step in the process that needs to be solved. The biggest thing that I like to do is lead with value over everything. When I'm talking to a prospect over the phone, I'm going to understand their specific pain points in the situation that they're in and where they're trying to go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to send them some sort of value-based resource to help them solve that problem prior to the call. If they go over that resource and they find value in it and they show up, they will 100% close. If before the call, they view that valuable resource and they actually, again, find value in it, it makes closing them so much more easier. And it's very easy to position it as well. We talk to these people, figure out what they're struggling with. We get them into a meeting, we confirm the meeting, and then we say, hey, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this resource over to you. Please review it because I think it's actually going to help you a ton. And it's also going to give you kind of an overview of what I'm going to help you with when growing your business. Okay. I've spent $20,000 in 4 months trying to figure out how to fix my show up rate. And because of that, my show up rate now sits around 70 to 80%. Here's the structure of how I actually make my value videos. So again, why value videos matter so much is because it builds trust, it builds authority, increases your perceived value, builds confidence, builds credibility, and you're giving back to your prospect by solving a small problem for them. When you give them something, they're more inclined to give you something as well. And I love the Alex Hormozi analogy where basically it's like, if you schedule a call with Alex Hormozi at 4 a.m. your time, you're going to show up for that call no matter what, because Alex Hormozi's perceived value is so high and you trust that he can actually solve a problem for you. You would probably be reminding him to show up for that call. Okay, so here's the structure, all right? Again, when do we send this value video? Before the actual sales call, present it as some free gift. The reason I don't like VSLs is because people, a lot of the time, they know what a VSL is. And they know that you're just kind of trying to explain what you do and things about you. When again, people don't really care about that stuff. They care about themselves more. So if you just help them and give them a ton of value, they are going to be way more inclined to show up and give you their money. Okay, so how do we actually structure it, right? So we start off with an introduction, explain what the video is about, state the dream outcome that you're going to help them reach if they watch this video, then explain why they should listen to you, credibility. You know, I've worked with 100 plus landscapers all across the US and Canada, share some success stories with current clients, some case studies, whatever it is, and then go into the problem that they're currently struggling with. Chances are they're dealing with low quality leads, or maybe they're getting tire kickers. Maybe they don't have a huge budget to spend on marketing. They're just getting people who are just generally unqualified prospects for them. So we're just going to go over some sort of problem that they're struggling with. And this depends a lot on your specific industry. It's hard for me to be like, hey, do this, this, and this, because again, every industry is different. Every prospect you talk to is slightly different. Once you understand them very, very well, and you understand what type of client that you want in general, it's very easy to copy and paste all this stuff over and over and over again. Okay. I have a very specific client profile for the types of people that I like to work with. And so my value video is based around those people. So every time that I send them a value video, they almost feel like it's made for them specifically. So state what they're currently dealing with, and then explain why these sources fail, why they're dealing with what they're dealing with. Then the solution to their problem, which is your unique process or mechanism. This is how we solve those problems. This is what we do at my business to solve those problems, right? And again, we want to frame it as if it's just something that they can follow step by step just by themselves. Okay. Explain the process and the results. So as you're explaining the process, explain results tied to things. Right? Oh, we see on average a $10 cost per lead with Facebook ads. That's what our one client, Jared, is getting, and he's able to convert 30% of his prospects. You're kind of sneaking in things that you've done for your clients and boosting your credibility. And then a clear call to action at the end could be like, do it yourself. Everything I showed you in this video, you can just take it, run with it, do it yourself, or you can work with us, first thing in the description, or just show up to that call. We're going to sit down and we're going to figure out how to do this together. Okay. Either way, whatever it is, like, subscribe if you found value in this video. So now that we have all that in place, sometimes when you're talking to prospects, you might just get the objection, just email me. What I would do in that case is just kind of normalize meeting up. Just be honest with them. Say, hey, listen, a lot of times when people just tell me to email them, I never really get a response. The back and forth can take a long time. And I just want to make this very quick and valuable for you and actually help you solve the problem. Very simple. All it is a 10, 15 minute meeting on Google Meet or Zoom. If they're persistent on you sending them an email, just be like, all right, well, what kind of things are you looking for in that email? I can address them right now. You know, pricing, stuff like that. Then you can actually address the real root cause of why they said send me an email in the first place. All right, so now step 5, which is close the deal. So if you followed step 1 through 4, they know who you are, they know what you do, and they know what problem that you can help them solve. And again, I hate having scripts for things like cold calls or sales calls, because all the script is trying to do is mimic a real human conversation. So at my agency, we do not use scripts. All we use is frameworks. The sales call should feel like a real genuine conversation and not some sort of crazy pitch. Understand where this person is at and where they're trying to go. Really dig deep into their business and the things that they're facing and how you can actually help them solve that problem. And conviction matter more than any script. If you genuinely believe that you can help them and that your service is going to help them, people are going to be able to sense that off of you as well. If you believe your offer is worth it, they will feel it. A very basic framework that I like to follow is the closer framework. So the C in closer is clarify. So where they're at now, understand the prospect's motivations, their goals, the things that they're struggling with, where they're trying to go, what they've tried in the past, things like that. L is for label the actual problem. So identify and restate the specific pain points that this person is struggling with. The goal of this is to help them realize the severity of the issues that they're dealing with. Then we have O, which is overview their past pain. Review those previous failed attempts of them trying to fix the problem, but it never actually worked. And then S is for sell the dream. So sell the vacation. Sell the desired future outcome, right? The vacation, not the little things in between, right? Not all the little technical things that you're going to do for them. You just sell the outcome. And it's like that analogy that I was talking about earlier with the travel companies. The travel companies, they're never going to tell you about the plane ride where you're sitting between two sweaty fat people. All they're going to tell you about is the blue water that you're going to be sitting next to drinking a pina colada. Then we have E, which is explaining away their concerns. So this is where we address objections and then come to a resolution to actually make this partnership work. And then we have R, which is reinforce their buying decision. Affirm the prospect's buying decision, create excitement, and make them understand that they made a very very, very smart choice in working with you. And when it comes to handling objections, and a lot of those objections that you may get after dropping your price is because you didn't do a good enough job in that discovery phase and building up that pain. So when you get a objection, welcome that skepticism. Say, hey, that's a good question. Tell them to bring strong questions, because that's going to help them be more confident in you and make them better clients in the long term. Disarm whatever objection that they have and then pitch again. When I closed my first client, obviously I was very almost like kind of scared because I didn't really know exactly what I was doing. But as I figured it out and I actually started to deliver really good results for my clients, it made me more confident in my ability to deliver and actually do a good service. And again, that conviction is so important on sales calls. Okay. Service delivery is above everything. At the end of the day, building a good business, it all relies on keeping those clients consistent with you over a long period of time and giving them really strong, good results. Okay. Because every time you hop on a sales call, you know your worth, you know what you can provide, and you genuinely care about helping these prospects get out of the situation that they're in. And you believe that you can help them do that. After I signed the first client, the second and the third client come way faster. And that's how I was able to close 10K really quickly after signing my first client. Same thing with how one of my students, Matt, was able to collect 10K in one of his first months of doing this, or Jaden, who did 10K in his first 30 days, or Brandon, who closed his first client in 15 days and then closed a $20,000 deal. Anyway, those are the 5 steps. You pick a niche, you build a simple offer, you find your leads, you book meetings, and you close deals. Your first client is the hardest one, but after that you have proof, you have momentum, and then things just start compounding. If you want the exact systems behind everything that I just walked through, Simple Scale has all of it, the scripts, the automations, the frameworks, again, everything that I use in my agency, and it's free. I only make money when you succeed. Links are in the description. Subscribe if you want to see more of these. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.